Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the training. For those who are joining for the first time, my names are Edwin, Magio, and I'm the Community Enterprise Development Manager at Ecotourism Kenya. And I want to welcome you to the today's training session, where I will be taking you through the leadership aspect, which I think is very, very important when it comes to your enterprises. So feel free to ask questions within the chat, and then we will have a Q&A session where we will look at all your questions. Before I begin my presentation, I would just like us to define what leadership is. And this training will be an interactive training. So feel free to share anything within the chat or to raise your hand, and then you'll be given an opportunity to be able to speak. So allow me to switch off my video so that I don't hang up. Well, now let's start by understanding what leadership is. And leadership is a very, very common term that has been defined by various people, and the definition for leadership are varied in so many ways. But despite many definitions that have been offered about leadership, there are so many similarities within those definitions. So usually those definitions tend to have some commonalities, and those commonalities, as we'll see, are things to do with a leader being a guider, a leader being someone who is able to inspire others, a leader being someone who can be able to influence others. And therefore, leadership is all about guiding, inspiring, and influencing others towards a common goal. So usually you'll find so many definitions about leadership, but you will again find that within those definitions, there is a lot of commonalities that are always found. So leadership is the ability to guide, inspire, and influence others towards a goal. I want us to unpack these terms so that you can understand what I mean when I say guiding, inspiring, and influencing. So when we talk about a leader being someone who can be able to guide, basically we mean that you as a leader of the enterprise that you're managing or you're intending to manage, you need to be able to set goals, and you also need to define those goals that you have set. And then now you proceed and create pathways that can be able to be used to achieve those goals. And once you have done that, later on, as you will see, you have now to communicate those goals to your team members or those people that you're working with. Then when we talk about a leader being someone who is able to inspire others, basically we mean that as a leader, you need to be able to motivate others to go above or beyond what is expected of them. So the aspect of motivation is what is meant when we talk about inspiring. Then as a leader, you also need to influence others. So influencing means you have to create a positive influence, that is in terms of attitude, in terms of behavior, in terms of actions. And that is something that can drive you and your team to be able to achieve change within your organization. So leadership is always seen as a backbone of any successful industry or any successful enterprise, like the one you are managing wherever you are. So why is it considered as a backbone for any successful enterprise? It's because of the rewards that comes with it. So there are a lot of significances that are accrued from leadership. And these are very common, as we all know, that leadership can be able to provide vision and direction. Leadership can be able to build a team, as we will see. Leadership can be able to inspire, as we have seen. Leadership can be able to foster a positive culture. Leadership can be able to drive progress and even success of the entire enterprise. So those are some of the advantages that comes with leadership. And that is why it is always important that you become a good leader with effective leadership skills. But despite these significances, leadership is also something that comes with obstacles. There are various challenges that you face as a leader, and that now brings us to today's training. So the training for today is meant for you to be able to overcome the challenges that might arise or that you are facing within your enterprises as leaders. So we have various obstacles that I'm sure some of you faces. The common ones are things to do with communication. How do you communicate to your team members? Other challenges have to do with decision making, especially when there is some uncertainties involved. Other challenges have to do with how do you motivate your employees, a very important aspect. We also have obstacles to do with delegation. Are you able to delegate some of the tasks to the people that you're working with? So those are some of the obstacles that you might face as a leader wherever you are. But now today's training is meant to help you have the right skills that can help you to overcome some of those obstacles. So before we continue to look at some of the skills that you might be required to have so that you can be considered as a good leader, I want us to answer this question. And please feel free to share your thoughts on this, as well as your insights or experiences with regards to this. You can do that by either raising your hand or maybe sharing within the chat box. So the question I'm posing to you is leadership inborn or built? And I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Is leadership inborn or built? So any person can just share with me what they think about this. Kindly feel free to share your thoughts. You can raise your hand. So if you consider yourself as a leader, do you think it's something that is, you're born with it, or is it something that you have been able to get after you have been born? So what do you think? Frederick is saying leadership is built. What do others think about this? can raise your hand or just post it within the chat. Shayla is saying both. Mary is saying built. Well, we have Susan is saying built. Patronilla is saying built. I would love someone to argue their point out. It will be very interesting to hear if you have said build, what is the justification for that? And if you're saying both, what is the justification for that? I've not heard someone saying it is born. Majority of you are saying it is made. So built. We have Njoki Kinyo is saying leaders are made through a series of experiences and they get better through continuous learning. So that is built. Well, all of you are right. All of you are right. And there has been a lot of discourse and discussions and debates regarding whether leadership is something that is inborn or whether it is something that is built. But despite the debate, there is always an agreement that leadership is something that is inborn as well as something that is built. So that is why I say that all of you are correct. So why are we saying that leadership is something that is considered inborn? When we say leadership is inborn, basically we mean that there are some traits that you can inherit from either your father or your mother, or maybe the other people like your grandfathers, or maybe your grandmother, and so on. So when we say inborn, leadership is something that is genetic in this sense, that you can be able to inherit some traits such as confidence, such as charisma, such as good communication skills. So you are just born with those traits, and it's because those traits were there to someone who was within your lineage. So that is why we tend to say that sometimes leadership is inborn, and there is a very common thing that we have seen, that sometimes if someone was a member of parliament, for instance, you might find that their sons or their daughters also have some traits, which again makes them even to be leaders as well. Leadership is also built or made. And when we talk about leadership being built or made, it is what Kinyo said, that we learn some of these traits through training or through experiences. Through things like challenges, you can be able to learn some of the traits. Through things like failures or life experiences can be able to help you learn some of these things. And now that brings us to our today's training. Our today's training is aimed at building you. Therefore, in this case, we are trying to nurture you to be leaders. I understand that some of you, you might have been born with these traits, but if you have been born with these traits, then we are enhancing those traits. But if you haven't been born with these traits, then this learning, training rather, is aimed at helping you understand some of the traits that are required so that you can be able to be a good leader. So leadership in terms of being built is all about having or gaining experience through training, through workshops or even the personal growth, so that you can be able to be successful in terms of leadership. That one now takes us to the traits that you are required to be considered as successful leader, especially within the context of a small business. So as a leader, you need to be visionary and goal-oriented. Remember, when you are managing your business, wherever you are, you have a goal that you have set that you want to achieve with that business. So you need to be visionary. You just don't need to be stuck in one stage. You need to be ambitious. Try to look at what are the goals that you want to achieve and how can you be able to undertake various tasks that can drive you to achieve those goals. Not you alone, you together with your team. So you have to be visionary, try to look ahead, and everything that you do should be able to help you achieve the goals that you have set. Remember, we said that as a leader, you need to guide. So guiding starts with formulating the goals, defining those goals, and then communicating the goals to the team members. But you cannot come up with those goals when you are not a visionary person, when you are not a goal-oriented person. Another trait which is very important is resilient and adaptability. So as a leader also, for you to be considered to be successful, you need to be resilient and adaptable. There are so many uncertainties that will always come, and I'm sure you always see this within your business, that sometimes you are faced with various uncertainties. And a good example of this was COVID. When COVID struck, nobody had predicted that it will be there. So what do you do when it's there? Do you close your business? No, you don't close your business. You need to be resilient. You need to face those challenges and you need to adapt to them. You need to absorb the shock. And that is what we mean by being resilient. So respond positively to any change that might arise, such as COVID-19, and then try to turn those challenges into opportunities. Any challenge, you need to take it as an opportunity for you to be able to grow. And later on, we'll be able to look at innovativeness and creativity, which can help you to be able to adapt to such kind of scenarios. Another important trait that you need to have is confidence. So usually leaders will be required, for instance, to come up with decisions, come up with judgments within their enterprises. So are you able to trust the judgment that you're making? So you need to make sure that you trust your judgment and you always take calculated risk, because sometimes you might be required to do so. Another trait which is very important is strong communication skills. You need to have strong communication skills. You are working with people, your team members are people, and you will be required to communicate to them. Not just the employees, even the people, the external people as well. So you need to have good communication skills, which entails you articulating your ideas. Also listening actively. Listening is also part of good communication skills. Listen to others. And then within your organization as a leader, try to foster that open and transparent communication. Give people a platform to be able to share their ideas. And you as a leader as well, be open, be honest, and share the progress of your organization and any other matter that is relevant. Then another important trait that successful leaders have is being supportive or empathetic. So as a leader, you also need to empathize with your employees. Try to understand their concerns and needs, and then try to show empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of those employees and try to provide support so that they can be able to achieve their best potential. You also need to be customer focused. We have two types of customers. We have both internal customers as well as the external customers. The internal customers, these are employees that you are working with. So you need to be customer focused in the sense that your goals should, everything you do should be aimed at making the customer happy. Because at the end of the day, as you heard on Monday, that the customer is an important person to your business. And therefore, even you as a leader, everything that you do, be it a task, be it formulating the goal, you need to make sure that it is aimed at satisfying the customer, both the internal customer as well as the external customer. And you need to start with the internal customer, because once your employees are satisfied, then they will be able to offer good services to the external customer. So you make your life a bit easier by starting with the internal customer, and then those internal customers now helping you to satisfy the external customers. Then as a leader, you also need to be strategic or a strategic thinker. So you need to think critically and strategically. So try to analyze the markets, try to identify the opportunities that are there for growth. Try to develop long-term goals that can help you to achieve your business objective. And that is what we mean by being strategic. You also need to be transparent and ethical. We will address this later on. Transparency, we have already captured it under communication, that you need to be honest. Try to be someone who is honest and also have those ethical behavior that can be copied by the team members that you're working with. So as a leader, prioritize transparency and uphold the moral standards that are required, and others will follow what you're doing. Then also be able to be someone who can delegate and build a team. Delegating basically entails you trying to come up with tasks and assigning those tasks to people who are best suited to undertake them. So identify people within your team who can be able to accomplish the task successfully. And you can be able to do this by looking at the skills they possess, the knowledge they have, as well as the experience. If you find someone is experienced in a certain area, then try to allocate that person a task that is aligned to the experience or the knowledge or the expertise that they have. So that is what we mean by delegating, and that will help you to be able to achieve your goals effectively. And then you also need to be a continuous learner. And I like it that you are in this training, because this is one of the steps that can help you to be able to grow personally or in terms of knowledge. So when you talk about continuous learning, is that you need to be informed. You need to be informed about the industry trends. You need to be informed about the new skills that are required. And you need to also be informed about the new leadership styles that are required, especially in today's world. So continuous learning is very, very essential. So try to make sure that you read, try to make sure that you go for seminars and workshops, try to make sure that you network with people so that you can be able to learn. And you can even learn from challenges that are coming from your business, because challenges also provide a learning opportunity. Another trait that you need to have is positive attitude. Attitude is very, very important. And I know sometimes you as a leader, you might be faced with challenges. During COVID-19, there are some people who, because of the situation, they now developed negative attitude. You should not be that kind of a leader. You need to have a positive attitude regardless of the situation. The positive attitude will help you a lot to be able to achieve growth and even inspire. So as a leader, you can imagine if you have a negative attitude, do you think the team members will even have the positive attitude if their leader has a negative attitude? Definitely not. So you need to have the positive attitude, influence that positive attitude to your team members. Don't show them that there is a problem, that things can't move. You need to be optimistic. You need to inspire them so that all of you can achieve the goals in an efficient manner. Then lastly, you need to be someone who can collaborate. So don't work in isolation as a leader. As we have said, you need to delegate some of the tasks. So create that collaborative culture within your organization. And that will be very, very important. Try to encourage others to share their ideas and to work together, because all of you are working towards a common goal. So it is better that you put your hands together. And as they say, unity helps to achieve things rather than just working in isolation. So I want us to have a discussion a bit about these traits. And what I would want us to do is try to reflect on these traits, all of them, and you can get a pen wherever you are and a piece of paper, and then just at a scale of 1 to 5, try to rate yourself when it comes to these characteristics. Let's say, for example, visionary and goal-oriented. So you can take a piece of paper and then at a scale of 1 to 5, you just rate yourself. How are you doing in terms of that? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? So of course, if it's 5, it means you're doing okay. So this scale of mine is 1. 1 is not good, 5 is good. So try to rate yourself. You don't need to share with that, but try to rate yourself at a scale of 1 to 5 with regards to these traits that I've shared with you. And then that will give you an insight on how you are doing. So if you find that there is an area where you're not so well, your rating is so low, then that is an area you would want to improve on going forward. If it's an area that you're doing so well, then of course you need to maximize on that. But all in all, these are some of the important traits that you need to have to be considered as a successful leader. I want us now to continue and look at setting goals and objectives. And setting goals and objectives are very, very important things. As a leader, we have said you need to set goals, define those goals, and then communicate those goals to your team members. And usually once that is done, it becomes very easy for you to be able to grow. You need to have clear goals which are communicated to the team members. But usually, for you to have very good goals, then you need to develop what we call SMART goals. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And I want us to look at each one of them one by one. So we'll start with specific. So when we talk about your goals being specific, we mean you need to try and avoid some ambiguous languages. Just keep it simple, and you need to articulate what you want to achieve in a clear manner, and that should be based on why is it considered important and who is involved in it. So that will make it to be specific. And I'll give you an example. For example, if I say increasing sales, do you think that objective is specific? If I just say increasing sales, and I would love to hear this from you. So I can type that in the chat. So I've typed that objective in the chat, increase sales. Do you think that objective is specific or not? Let me hear what you have to say. Is that objective specific or not? So that is not a specific objective. And the reason why that is not a specific objective is because you have not really said by how much, for instance, you haven't given a rate in it. So it can be specific if you include some things. Increasing sales is more general. It is not that specific. So if I say increasing sales by 15%, that is, I'm now making it specific. Increasing sales by 15%, maybe in the next quarter. Now I've made it specific. It's now moving from being general to being specific. So you need to make your objective to be very specific. Don't say increasing sales. You need to say increasing sales by how much and by what time. Then now we move to measurable. So measurable, you also need to quantify your goal. It is important that you quantify your goal. And when you quantify your goal, it becomes much easier for you to track your success. You need to quantify your objectives so that you can easily track the success. So I'll give you another example again. So, and then you'll tell me whether this is a measurable or non-measurable goal. So if I say improve customer satisfaction, I'm going to type this on the chat. Improve customer satisfaction. Is that goal measurable or non-measurable? Kindly share your thoughts. Improve customer satisfaction. Is that goal non-measurable? Non-measurable, great. That goal is not measurable. It is non-measurable goal. So you have to quantify. So for example, you can say increase customer satisfaction from 75% to 85% in the next 6 months. So you have quantified it. And now when it comes to tracking the success, it becomes much easier for you as a leader. I want us now to move to achievable. Achievable is also another important thing when formulating a goal. So you need to come up with goals which are realistic, which are very realistic and very attainable. I know sometimes we are always ambitious, but you need at least to consider some things when you're developing your goals. So you need to consider the resources that you have. You also need to consider the time that you have before formulating a goal. So don't be overambitious and then come up with something that you cannot be able to attain. So again, I'll give you an example. So for instance, you want to grow your business. Growth is something that we all know is considered okay, because each and every business wants to grow. But for instance, you can't grow by 75% in 1 month. No, I'm just assuming it's a business and then maybe it hasn't been doing so well, but now you want to grow by 75% in terms of your revenue in a single month or in a single week. You see, that is not something that you can consider achievable, keeping in mind about the timelines that you have set and maybe the resources that you have in play. So it's good always to consider those two things before formulating a goal. So for instance, you can say that you will grow by maybe 5% in terms of your market share. You will grow by 5%, maybe in the next 5 months. I mean, that makes sense rather than putting it in 1 week or in 1 month. Keeping in mind about the resources that you have and so on. So you have to make sure that your goal is realistic and attainable. Don't be overambitious. Then you also need to make sure that your goals are relevant. When we talk about your goals being relevant, remember we mentioned earlier that you have your visions, you have your missions as well. So when you're coming up with your objectives, the objectives needs to be aligned with the visions that you have. Don't come up with objectives that are totally opposite to what you are intending to achieve in future. So for example, if you are a tour guide and you have an objective, so you want to develop your objective rather, you have to develop objectives related to what you want to achieve within the field that you are in. So if, for example, you want to start doing things, you're developing an objective related to maybe starting a food blog. You know, that is totally something opposite to what you are doing. You need to develop an objective related to developing a blog on what you're doing. That is tour guiding, not food. So that is what we mean by relevancy. And then time bound is that you need to set timelines for your objectives. And timelines are very, very important because they will help you to have deadlines and to create that urgency in terms of achieving your goals. So I want to put something within the chat and then you can tell me whether it is a time-bound goal or it's not. So improving employee training. So this is the goal, improving employee training. improving employee training. So I want you to tell me whether that goal is time-bound or not time-bound. So Susan is saying not time-bound, and not time-bound, not time-bound, not time-bound. Yes, all of you are totally correct. That goal is not time-bound because it doesn't give an aspect of time within it. So you have, for example, if you want to implement a new employee training program, then you have to say by when. For example, you can say implementing a new employee training program by the end of first quarter. So when you say first quarter, at least you have put there the aspect of time. So you have to create the timeline within your objectives so that at least you have a deadline, and that will create the urgency and help you to stay focused and even accountable to that objective. Let us now proceed. So within your organization, you also need to make sure that you build and lead the team. So as a leader, you need to make sure that you are able to build your team, and then from there you can now lead them to what you want to achieve. So this is a very, very important thing that I want you to pay close attention to. So what I'm going to take you through is basically the steps that you will need to build and to lead a successful team in your business setup or in whatever business that you're doing. So the first thing that you need to do in terms of building and leading a team is that you need to clearly define the roles and the expectations. Excuse me. So this is very important. When you look at your business, you already have a goal. That goal, you have broken that goal into activities. So you already have the activities that are needed to be able to achieve the goal that you have in place. So for you to be able to achieve your goal, then you need to clearly define the roles and responsibility or those activities to each member. And then you need to make sure that everyone knows what they are supposed to do. So people need to know, your team member need to know what is expected of them and what contribution are they required to make so that they can be able to achieve the goal. And this is something that needs to be done once someone has joined the organization. You have employed someone or someone is new to that organization. It should be clear about the roles that they are required to do and what is expected of them. And then that will help them to be focused and to now go forward to achieve the objectives of the organization. And then another important thing you need to do is to hire the right team members as well. Usually, sometimes this is a weakness for many people, especially for people leading a small business. You just want to put there people that you know. You are not considering the skills, the knowledge, and the experience that they have. So try to get people who possess the necessary skills that align to the company's goals and values. So in a small team, this plays a very, very significant role. So don't just get any person, maybe your wife or husband, or maybe your son, they don't have those skills. Try to get someone who possesses the skills that can drive you to achieve your goals. Then we had discussed this, also foster a collaborative environment. So unity is very, very important. And how do you foster collaborative environment? Make sure that you are open to the team members that you're working with. Also try to make sure that you encourage team members to embrace teamwork. So that will go a long way in helping you to achieve or to build and lead the team. You also need to lead by example. So as a leader, you should lead by example, demonstrate to others what is required of them. And once you mess in that area, then definitely things won't go well. So check on your action, check on your attitude, check on your behaviors, and this will set a tone for the entire team. For example, if you come early to work, you know, and the team members are saying that you're coming early, you know, they will continue coming early. But the moment you just lag behind and you now start coming late or doing things not correctly, then they will be using you as an example. If the leader is doing this, you know, then I won't be accountable to him or her when I also go wrong, because I just, even some will tell you that, but yesterday you came late. Why are you asking me why I've come late? Yet yesterday you came late. You need to lead by example so that others can copy what you're doing. Also empower and delegate. So try to empower your employees, give them the authority to make some decisions. Also create that autonomy in decision making. And as we have said, delegate some tasks. Don't do everything alone. Give them some tasks, especially the tasks that you know they will be able to perform better, keeping in mind their skills, their experience, as well as the knowledge they have. Then offer growth opportunities. I don't know, wherever you are, whether this is something that you consider. We will look at this, under motivation, but you need to offer growth opportunities to your team members. And these will involve things like skills development, you know, encourage them to go for trainings so that they can develop their skills. Also, you can do it yourself, provide training yourself, organize some mentoring sessions so that you can support them professionally and even socially. Also, encourage them to learn, you know, read materials, because that is also one way of growing. Then another important thing is communicating effectively. And as you can see, there is a lot of overlap, and these things keep on repeating themselves. So you need to make sure that you communicate effectively. Let your team members be informed about the business goals, the progress that is there within the organization, changes that have been made. And this communication should be regular communication. Ask yourself, do you hold meetings regularly? Because meetings provide a platform where you can be able to communicate and ensure that everybody is on the same page. You know? So as a leader, for you to build and lead your team, communication is an important thing. Then we have talked about setting realistic goals. So also set realistic goals. And the reason why I said you need to set realistic goals is because of the shortcomings that might be there. So try to look at the resources that are there. Try to look at the time that you have. So that will now shape the goals that you will be setting. So set goals that can be able to incorporate the resources and the timelines that are there to achieve them. Then encourage innovation and creativity. This is very, very important, especially in the competitive environment that we are in at the moment. So try to encourage your team members to come up with new ideas and solutions that can be able to drive the organization to achieve its goals. And even when it comes to challenges that are there, when you have encouraged the innovation and creativity, then it will be much easier for the team members to be able to overcome those challenges that are within the organization. Another important aspect that you also need to know is recognizing and rewarding achievements. So the team members that you are working with, they put in a lot of efforts to ensure that things go in the right direction. So those who have succeeded, try to recognize them and try to award them if need be. And award doesn't really necessarily mean financial or material thing. Now, sometimes an award or a reward can just be something even like the way sometimes supermarkets do. They recognize the employees by maybe just putting or posting there the employee of the month, you know. Those are things that can really motivate people. So recognize and then reward depending on the resources that you have as the organization. So that will keep the employees motivated and inspired to continue putting in the efforts and achieving success. And that will help to boost their morale as well. And it will be much easier to achieve the organizational goals. Also, another important thing is be adaptable and flexible. We have talked about challenges. We have talked about challenges being there.
Device connecting us successfully.
I think there are some people who are unmute. So I would ask maybe you should mute yourself kindly. You have to be adaptable and flexible as also to build and lead a team in a correct way. So we have already discussed this clearly. So make sure that there's some disturbance. Kindly, for those who are unmute, you can mute yourself. Yes, let's continue. Thank you. So you need to be adaptable and flexible. There are challenges that you, as a leader, together with your team, you will be facing. So make sure that you are able to adapt to those challenges, absorb the shock, and then adapt to those challenges. So come up with, for example, an emergency plan, you know, so that you can be able to adapt to the challenges that you are facing. And then be flexible, you know, don't be rigid. Don't just do things in a certain way. When you have been faced with challenges like the way we had COVID, try now to change the way you do things so that you can remain on course rather than continuing doing things in the same way. And that will now hinder your progress when you are faced with uncertainties. And then another one is lead with transparency. We have discussed this in length since we started. So try to make sure that you are open and honest, and this will build trust, especially from your team members. They will be able to trust you, and it will also foster collaboration and the achievement of organizational goals. So make sure that you are very transparent. I know there are some leaders who keep things to themselves. You know, maybe you don't have money to pay the employees, but you don't want to tell them we kazi yako ni kutoroka tu, So you need to be open to them. Tell them, right now the organization is not doing so well. We are not that financially stable, but when things becomes better, we will be able to, pay you and so on. So make sure that you communicate openly, especially in terms of the financial health of the organization. And any decision that you're also going to make, you also need to keep the team members updated on it. And then lastly, address conflicts proactively. So you also need to address the conflicts proactively. And this is something that is very common. Wherever you are, there are always conflicts that are there. But what is more important is that you need to make sure that you encourage an open communication so that you can always resolve the problems in a constructive manner. Allow people to come together and have a discussion on the problems that are there, or the conflicts that have arisen, and then address that conflict in a very effective manner. So that is what we have covered up to now. Because of time, my watch is telling me it's 1 minute to 11 a.m. So we can proceed maybe to a Q&A session, and then we will have a break. And then from there, we will proceed to the second part of the session. So I welcome any question from you all. Feel free to ask any question, or maybe to raise your hand, and I'll give you an opportunity to be able to ask the question. So feel free to ask any question.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Haji, and I'm from Coast, but I seem like I joined the meeting very late at around 10:40 a.m. But
yes,
now, Lisa, how can I get the whole information that I missed?
Okay, I will answer that. So sorry you joined late. We had 2 sessions already. This is the 3rd session that we are having. The first session was on customer service. The second session was on marketing. And both sessions were recorded. And those sessions that were recorded, even today's session is being recorded. So those sessions that were recorded will be shared on our YouTube channel, and you can be able to access them as from the end of this week, from Friday going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So kindly feel free to ask any question, to share your comments. So Sami Kahindi has raised a hand. Sami, go ahead kindly.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Sami.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, many times as a leader of an enterprise or organization,
Yes.
when you are hit with these hard rock obstacles, like for example, pay cuts and so forth and so forth.
For example,
Pay cuts. You want to reduce the pay for your employees because
yes,
things are not going on very well. So
yes,
sometimes even before you make a step towards communicating to these employees about that, most of them,
yes,
and sometimes they're very good employees, they tend to, threaten to leave the organization because
yes,
they really do not want to hear that there will be pay cuts and that their pay will be reduced. As a good leader and putting into consideration good communication skills and being honest and open, how do you go about that? Because it's really a problem to many small scale enterprises when it comes to communicating such things to employees. Thank you.
well, that is a very great question. So those challenges tend to arise, and businesses are totally unpredictable. Today you're doing so well, tomorrow things might not be doing so well. And therefore you might, like you have said, you need to be flexible. So flexibility might also come into place when it comes to the pay cuts and so on. And it doesn't necessarily need to be pay cut. It can also be adding the employees some money. But what is important here is the trust. The trust is the most important thing here. The trust is what will make those employees to believe you or not to believe you. So as a leader, you have first of all to win the trust of your employees or your team. So I'm assuming these people you have been working with them. So if all along your actions, your communication, everything has been has been things that are considered good to these team players and have made you to win their trust, then when you are hit with these uncertainties and then you come to them and you try to explain to them how the situation is, because we have said you need to be communicating effectively, openly tell them the financial health of the organization, that things at the moment are not going in the right direction. And therefore, we might be required to reduce your salary a bit. Otherwise, if we don't, the business is going to fall. So these people will only take it positively if they already have trust in you. And the trust will be based on your previous engagement or how you have been treating them previously. If you are nice to those people, when there was money, when the business was doing great, then it becomes much easier for them to understand that indeed, right now things are not well. And then now it will be up to them to either decide to be with you or not, because maybe another person, despite your goodness, they might decide, that money is still not enough for me because maybe my family requires to be supported, and then that money won't be able to offset all the expenses that I have. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is trust. Once you win the trust of your team members, and trust is based on the things we have discussed, then it will now become easier for you to communicate such matters to them and to make them understand.
Thank you.
I hope I have answered your question?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
We have another person.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Boom Wasin or Mohamed Shebwana from Wasin.
Yes.
Na ningependa katika maswali kutuliza ungechanganya English and Kiswahili.
Sawa kabisa, nimeshikanisha hiyo.
Naongelea Kiswahili na Kizungu tupate kuelewa zaidi.
Sawa kabisa.
Okay, thank you.
So, nitakuwa nazungumza Kiswahili na Kizungu na changanya.
Sasa
Ingawaje siko vizuri katika Kiswahili, lakini nitajaribu.
Hakuna shida.
Okay. Haya, kuna mtu pia ameweka mkono juu. Naweza uliza swali tafadhali. Haji, uliza swali.
Asante sana. And kulikuwa na shida. Let's say mtu ameanza a business like an ecotourism center, but
Yes.
Ukiangalia these factors zote mtu ameconsider, but unaona it's like it's not growing. Is there something else that someone is lacking?
Ukifanya biashara, if you're doing a business, ni vizuri uanalyze hiyo biashara yako vizuri. Ukianalyze biashara, utajua shida iko wapi. Ukishajua shida ndio una address hiyo shida. Kama hujaanalyze biashara yako, huwezi jua ni shida gani. Sasa what you are required to do is you monitor your business. You evaluate your business. Tumesema kuwa uko na hizi objectives na si objective moja. Uko na objectives, for example, unataka achieve kitu fulani kwa wakati fulani, unataka kuachieve kitu fulani kwa wakati fulani, unataka kuachieve kitu fulani kwa wakati fulani, na hujaweza kuachieve hiyo kitu yenye ulitaka kuachieve. Sasa unafaa uangalie ni nini ilizuia biashara kutoachieve hii kitu. Ni nini ilizuia? Ukishajua chanzo cha kitu ambayo ilizuia hiyo objective kutofanyika, then itakuwa rahisi wewe kusuluhisha shida ambayo iko. So shida itasuluhishwa kama umejua chanzo cha shida hiyo, na unafaa sasa uanze kurudi nyuma ukienda. So let me use an example. For example, you are intending to increase the number of market share. Unataka kupata customer wengi kwa biashara yako, na hujaweza kupata hao customer wengi, na umekuja ukagundua kuwa kitu ambayo imefanya hujapata customer wengi kwa biashara yako ni kwa sababu haukufanya marketing yenye inatakikana. Sasa hii shida ukishagundua ndio hii, then unaenda ahead utakuta suluhisho ya kuaddress hiyo shida. I hope I've answered your question.
Ningependa pia kuongezea jambo kwa vile ambayo ameuliza. Pia ni important before now you set up a business sehemu fulani, ni vizuri ufanye utafiti wa kutosha so that uweze kujua the kind of product unaweka hapo ni kama ni hiyo yenye inaambatana na watu wenye wako hapo. So before upate hizo challenges za biashara yenye unasema uweze ukapata customer na kila mtu, ni important kufanya utafiti. Ujue watu wa hiyo sehemu ni which kind of product ama ni bidhaa gani wanahitaji, ndio diposa uweze ukaweka biashara mahali hapo. So I think also that one is a very important aspect to consider before now uweke biashara.
Yes.
Thank you. Sawa, nimeelewa.
Kuna swali lingine? Any other question? Okay, if we don't have a question, if you have a question, you can just keep your question, and we'll again have a Q&A session at the end. So feel free to ask during that time. In the meantime, let us have a break of 10 minutes. So we will come back at 11. Should be, my watch is telling me it's 11:13. So we'll proceed at 11:20 after 7 minutes. So I will be taking you through communication and delegation. So like I've said earlier, there is a lot of overlap on what we are looking at, and you can see things are relating. But these are the most important things when it comes to leading a small business. We have talked about communication, and I want us now to look at it a bit in length here. And we will also be looking at delegation. Delegation and communication, they tend to go hand in hand. And they are very crucial aspect of effective leadership. Usually they play a very great role when it comes to fostering the trust, like I've said before. They also help to foster collaboration or teamwork. And more importantly, they help in achieving the organizational goals. So we want to explore each of these two in terms of enhancing or bringing about good leadership. So we will start with communication in leadership. So communication is, like I've said, a foundation for successful leadership. And communication is all about conveying information, sharing ideas, sharing feedback. And also I've said that communication is not all about talking and sharing the ideas, but it's also about listening actively. And as a leader, you also need to listen. So we want to look at various things which are important when it comes to communication in leadership. So one of them is clarity and transparency. And I've emphasized this in my previous presentations. So as a leader, you need to be able to communicate clearly, and you need to be someone who is very honest and as well as open, share your ideas in a very honest and open manner. And like I said before, when you do so, then people that you're working with will be able to develop some trust, and they will have a sense of belonging towards that organization. But the moment you are not very clear, very honest, and very open, then their trust tends to fade away slowly by slowly, and they will not feel like they're part of that organization because they don't know anything about the organization. So another one is unafaa usikize vizuri, unakuwa mtu wa kusikiza, especially watu wenye unafanya nao kazi, unafaa uwasikize. Si wewe tu kupeana instructions kama wewe ndio unaongea, lakini pia wewe wacha waongee, wasikize. So it is also important that you actively listen to your team members, especially try to listen their concern, try to listen to their needs, and try to give them an opportunity to give feedback on what they think. So try to engage them, and as you do so, listen attentively. When you listen to employees, you are showing them that you respect them and you respect what they are saying. And your decision now will be based on some of the information that they would have given you. Remember, we have talked about collaboration, working together. And part of working together is giving the team members an opportunity to express their thoughts, opportunity to share their ideas, so that at least when you're making a decision as a leader, then you have incorporated their needs, their issues, and so on. So another important aspect within communication in leadership is that communication should be a two-way communication. A two-way communication is whereby I can be able to share with you something, and I can also be able to give you an opportunity for you to share with me the information. So you as a leader, you need to be open to dialogue, ensure that the communication flows in all directions or in both directions, both to and from. So team members will always feel comfortable when they express their thoughts and give their feedback. So don't just come up with something as a leader and then that is final. No, give them an opportunity to give their feedback, what they think about that. And then also try to adapt a communication style. And I won't advise you to have one way of communication. So you can, there are various types of styles of communication. We can have face-to-face communication. We can have written communication. So depending on the context or depending on the person you're communicating to, then you need to develop a certain style. So for instance, if you have realized that your employees prefer face-to-face communication, then you should be able to communicate to them face-to-face. Some people are not comfortable with writing, especially with small businesses. Some people might not be able to do it comfortably or confidently. So such kind of people, then you need to be able to communicate to them using face-to-face. Other people haven't embraced technology like others. So such kind of people might not be on WhatsApp, or maybe on these other social platforms, or maybe using even emails. So you need to be able to ensure that you also give them an opportunity to be able to express their ideas. So try to look at a communication style that is favorable to the team members that you are working with and the context within which you are also communicating. Then also try to provide a context when you are communicating as a leader. For example, if you are holding a meeting and you are expressing an idea, ni vizuri at least upeane some background information before ufike kwa kitu ambacho unataka kusema. So hiyo inasaidia watu wakati utasema kitu watakuwa wameelewa vizuri na itafanya wapate the bigger picture of the whole thing rather than just having a small bit of the information that you have provided. And then as a leader also, you need to provide regular updates. So keep members informed. If it's meetings, don't hold one meeting per month. You need to be holding meetings weekly so that as a leader, you can provide the progress within the meetings. You can be able to share the changes that have been made, any important developments that are in place. And that one will help to keep people updated and at least to be aligned and also prevent the misunderstandings that might arise at any moment. So provide regular updates as well as keep the team members informed regularly. And we have various platforms. You don't necessarily need to meet them. Like you can even share updates on text. You can share the updates on their emails. You can share the updates on the WhatsApp groups and so on. Then having looked at communication, I want us now to look at delegation. Delegation is also important when it comes to leadership. And this is where now you assign tasks and responsibility to the team members. And like I said, you know your team members so well. You know the skills they possess, you know the knowledge they have, the experience they have. So try to assign task and responsibility to people, keeping in mind the skills, the experiences, and the knowledge they have. So find a person, allocate them the responsibility that they can comfortably do in an effective manner. So that is one way of empowering employee. When you delegate a task, you have empowered them, and that will promote efficiency and allow all the employees to work towards achieving the common goal. So again, under this, I want us to also look at the various things that you need to consider before delegating. So one is identify the strengths. So I've talked about this. So try to look at your team players or team members and look at their strengths and skills. What are they good at? What skills do they have? You know, if someone, for example, has good marketing skills, then you need to allocate that person responsibilities to do with marketing, because that is the best area they can perform better. Then once you have now identified those skills, now delegate tasks that align with the knowledge, the skills, and the expertise that those people have. And of course, that will now increase their performance, and they will also feel comfortable doing things that they have knowledge in or they have experience in. So once you have done that, again, another important thing is that set clear expectations. So this is also very, very important. Try to come up with objectives. You have given them tasks, but you also have to give them some of the objectives. Like maybe you tell them that I want you to do this by end of this. Set objectives for them so that they remain focused and work towards those objectives. And besides just setting the objective, also communicate to them what you expect. Now, that is desired outcomes. Try to tell them that at the end of this period, I would require you to have achieved this, so that at least they have that back in their mind that I'm working towards this goal and I'm required to achieve these outcomes. So that will help them to be focused. So communicating the expectations is very, very important. And once you have done that now, you also need to provide resources and support. Remember, we have said under traits that as a leader, you need to be very supportive. Don't just allocate tasks and leave them to do the task by themselves. You need to be able to mentor them. You need to be able to support them with any resources they may need. We talked about you offering training. We talked about you offering resources. These might be equipment that are needed and so on, so that they can be able to work effectively. Then also encourage autonomy. What I mean by this is that give them authority. Don't just, you might allocate someone responsibility to various responsibility, but you might have limited their autonomy. You haven't given them that authority, for example, to make decisions. So try also to make sure that they have that freedom to be able to make decisions that are related to the responsibility or the task that you have given them. Then once you have done that, another important aspect within delegation is you monitor the progress. So you have allocated this person responsibility, you have to monitor. So you have to come up with a criteria in which you can be able to monitor the progress of those people. So for example, you can say at the end of every quarter, you will be looking at the progress report. So the team members can be able to share their progress report or to share the things they have done and what they have achieved within those responsibilities. So make sure that you monitor so that you can be able to help them remain on course. If you don't monitor, then things might not be going well without you knowing. Then later on, you realize that you never achieved the goal because you are not monitoring or evaluating the things as they go on, but rather you are just waiting until the end. So try to monitor the progress as things go on, rather than waiting until the end. Then the last one is recognize achievement. Like I said, you need to acknowledge the efforts that are being put on by the team members. So if the team members have accomplished something, make sure that you at least recognize that, and that will help in boosting their motivation as well as their morale. So that is very, very important. In terms of delegation, I want us now to look at another aspect, that is time management and prioritization. So these are very, very essential things that you require as a small business leader. And why do you require these? For example, why do you require to manage your time effectively and to prioritize things within your business? So usually, sometimes you might find that you are operating your business, but maybe the resources that you have are not that good, or you have some constraints related to resources, or maybe you just have a lot of responsibilities that you need to undertake. So you need to be able to manage time so that you can stay organized and focused and be productive. And you also need to have priorities, like which one will be the first thing that you will undertake, because you can't do all those things at once, because maybe you don't have that enough time, or maybe the resources that are there are not that big for you to be able to accomplish all those things that you want. And therefore, time management and prioritization are considered very, very important. I want us just to look at various ways or various strategies that you can put in place so that you can be able to manage your time effectively and also to prioritize the tasks or responsibilities that are there. So one of the things that you need to do is you need to set a clear goal and priority. So try to set some clear goals and priorities. And this will now require you to try and identify the critical objective of your business. You already have those objectives, but which objective stands out for you that you would love to achieve first? So try to evaluate the objective that you have, and then try to look at the objectives that stands out. So those are the ones that you need to consider first. Then another important thing is use time blocking. So this basically means try to block some time for different tasks and different activities. So you have to create time to do certain activities, and this will help you to be focused and also to prevent switching between one activity to another activity. So you have to block time. Ingine ni kudelegate, so ensure that you share, unapeana kazi kwa watu wengine wafanye, usifanye kazi peke yako. So kama kuna ile kazi yenye unaweza fanya, ingine unapea mtu mwingine, ingine unapea mtu mwingine. So hiyo itasaidia pia create free time kwako, ndio unaweza kufanya kazi yenye unatakikana kufanya. So kuna kazi mingi nafaa ifanyike, unapea mwingine afanye hii, unapea employee mwingine afanye hii, alafu unabaki na wakati mdogo wa kufanya kazi yenye inatakikana. Then you need to avoid, or rather you need to use to-do list and task management tools. So I don't know whether you have to-do list, but this is always recommended. So early in the morning or maybe at the beginning of every week, you just write down what you will be required to do during the day or during the week. So this is what I will do, this is what I will do, and I will do it during this time, I will do it during this time. So that will help you to keep track of the tasks and the deadline that are there. And you can also utilize some task management tools. Right now, we have quite a number of apps that you can use to be able to manage your time effectively. So you can take advantage of the apps that you have. Then avoid what we call procrastination. Hii inaitwa kupostpone. No? Unasema nitafanya jioni. Ikifika jioni tena unasema nitafanya kesho. Fika kesho, nitafanya kesho kutwa. So try to avoid that. So I know it's a very, very challenging thing, but once you avoid it, then you will also be saving yourself from the pressures that might come. So try to make sure that you avoid that and then you accomplish tasks early. So badala ya kusema nitangoja kesho, unasema wacha nifanye kidogo leo, kesho nitafanya kidogo, kesho kutwa nitafanya kidogo, as you go on. Don't wait until the end. That is when now you want to do everything. It becomes very hard for you to accomplish and even to be able to do it in a right way. So also another one, learn to say no. I know some people are always very kind. Ukipewa kazi yoyote unachukua. Ukipewa kazi yoyote unachukua. So unajipata uko na kazi mingi na huwezi maliza. So saa ingine pia ni vizuri kukataa. So there is a lot of demands that might be there. So sometimes learn to say no, especially to those things that you know they are non-consequential. They are not that important. Or maybe things that can come on a bit later. So those things that don't align to what you want to achieve, then learn to say no if you are approached. Then also another one, set realistic time frame. So you need also to be setting realistic time frame. If it's something you want to do, like maybe you want to write a report, for instance, you already know the content. Look at the content you want to write. Then try to allocate effective time. Usikuwa unataka kuandika kitu mingi na umejiwekea siku moja, utamaliza. So angalia kazi yenye iko, allocate time yenye unaweza fanya hiyo kazi comfortably bila mashida mingi ama nyingi. So you need to do that. So sometimes it's not good to overcommit or be very confident that you can do it within a short time. So try to create a realistic time, because you also have other things apart from work, right? You might be having family issues, you might be having other engagements that you're required to do. So create time that is effective for you to accomplish those tasks, keeping in mind that you also have other engagements. Then another important thing is prioritize based on impact. So prioritization is very important. And as you can see on the screen, there is this matrix which can help you to prioritize. We have so many models or so many ways in which you can prioritize. This is just one of them. So for instance, you can look at the tasks that are very, very important and urgent. So at the top there, we have urgent, and then we have not urgent. On the side, we have important, and then we have not important. So those tasks that are very urgent and are also important, then you need to do them. And that is why within the grid you have seen, it has been indicated, do it now. So if there is any task that is considered urgent as well as important, then that is a task that you need to do immediately. If that task is important but not urgent, then you can schedule a time to do it. If the task is not important but urgent, then you can delegate. You can delegate. You can now allocate it or assign it to someone. So just ask yourself, who can do it for you? Then if the task is not important and not urgent, then that is something that you can eliminate. You don't need to do it. And that is why I had said earlier, always learn to say no. So you can have all those tasks that you need to do, and you find one that is not aligning to what you are doing as a business, then you can eliminate it. So you can have this matrix. It's a very important matrix, which is very common. So you have all the tasks you want to do, you put them on paper, and then you have this matrix with you, and then you try to look at every task, and then you see in which grid does it fit. And then at the end of the day, you now use that grid to be able to undertake the task. So those ones that are in the first grid, you do them. In the second grid, at the top, you schedule. The third grid at the bottom, you delegate. And then the fourth one, you eliminate because they are not aligning to your goals or objectives. So always prioritize based on impact, as well as the significance and even urgency. Also minimize distractions. Where you are working, make sure that you create a very conducive environment. Your space should be conducive enough for you to be able to concentrate and also be productive. So things like music, things like maybe noise, any other related noise, and so on. So try to avoid such kind of things because they will eat your time, and then later on you might find that you haven't done anything productive. So create a very conducive environment so that you can be able to undertake the task and finish them within the specified time. Then you can also batch similar tasks together, with this, I mean, try to look at those things that are related and then do them once. For example, if it's replying emails, reply all the emails, for example, in the morning, or maybe send out the messages in the morning. You have batched all those things together and then you have done them at once. So that is what I mean. So group similar tasks together and then handle them at a go, such as answering emails or maybe even phone calls. You want to make phone calls, sit down, make phone calls, finish with it, move to another task. Then also utilize productivity techniques. So you can also utilize other techniques. We have some technological techniques that you can also use. You can Google these, or you can even use some apps. Like we have the 2-minute rule so that you can boost your focus or efficiency and so on. So we also have another one called Pomodoro technique. You can look at it. It's also one of the tools that you can use to increase your productivity and efficiency. Then try to review and reflect. It's also very important that you review your time management strategy. Reviewing them will help you to know whether they are effective or not. So if you see that they are effective, you continue using them. If you see that they are not effective, then it's important that you look for the one that is effective. Another important thing that you need also to do is ni vizuri pia kuchukua breaks na kupractice kitu inaitwa self care. So si kazi tu kuanzia asubuhi mpaka jioni. No. Saa ingine unapumzika kidogo, unaenda gym kidogo, unaenda mazoezi kidogo, unasikiza muziki kidogo. So hiyo inakusaidia ku-re-energize. Ndio ukirudi kazi unapata energy ya kufanya kazi vizuri. Na usipofanya hizi vitu sometimes utajipata umechoka zaidi. Sasa hutafanya kazi itakavyo kwa sababu utakuwa umechoka. Lakini ukichukua breaks, unaweza pata time ya kurelax and then manage your stress, vitu kama hizo, ukule vizuri, fanye mazoezi kidogo, alafu sasa unapata nguvu ndio unaendelea na kazi. So it's also good to do that. Then lastly, embrace flexibility. So unafaa ujue saa ingine unaweza kuwa umeweka hiyo muda, nitafanya hii kazi wakati fulani, nitafanya hii kazi wakati fulani, lakini unajipata hiyo wakati yenye ungefanya kitu imetokea. So unafaa pia kwa schedule yako ukuwe na hiyo room ya kuchange kidogo. For example, kama ulikuwa saa 7 ufanye kitu fulani na hiyo wakati imefika na ukapatwa na msiba kidogo, ama maybe umekuwa kwa jam na hujafika wakati unatakikana, so unafaa create time tena. So you will have to be flexible. Your schedule has to be flexible. So don't just make it rigid, you need to embrace that flexibility. I want us now to move to another aspect, which is also important: problem solving and decision making. So as a leader, you will be required to make decisions. You will be required to make, to address or to provide solutions to problems that might arise within the organization. So you need to make sure that you have essential skills that can help you to be able to address that. So there are those challenges that will always arise so quickly within your organization, and your role is to be able to handle those challenges or to provide some judgment on how those challenges can be addressed. And that is why it is important that you have the problem solving and the decision-making skills. So we want just to have a look at the aspects that you require when it comes to problem solving and decision making. So one of the important things, and this reminds me of the question that was asked by one of the participants, who was asking that there is a problem within his business and he seemed not to get it. So the first thing is to try and define the problem. So you need to identify the root cause and the potential impact on the organization. So you have, first of all, you cannot address a problem that you don't know. You have to know the root cause of that problem. And my colleague explained to you so well that try to look, for example, one way to know the problem, try to look at the setting where you are. Are you in the correct setup where the business is? So that is one way in which you can be able to identify the problem or the root cause of the potential problem that is there. Then once you have defined the problem, try to gather some information about that problem. gathering information about the problem will help you to understand the problem better. You know? And this one now you can involve the team members so that you gain diverse perspectives. You know, you have identified that maybe where we are located is the problem. You know, specifically you will want to understand ujue shida ni nini, ni kitu fulani, ni kitu gani specific yenye na leta shida. You know, ni maji hakuna mahali tunafanya kazi, ni stima hakuna, ni njia ndio mbaya. So you have to gather information so that you can understand the problem better. And then, of course, now you are, as you gather information, you are trying to think of the solutions, you together with team members, on how you can address that problem. And you will always find that there will always be a lot of options. Like they always say, you can kill a rat in so many ways. So there are always so many options or various ways in which you can address the problem that you have. But try to analyze those options that are there and then select the best. Select the best. So how do you select the best? You try to evaluate the risk and benefits. So you look at, sometimes it's called cost and benefit analysis. Try to look at the benefits of that option, the benefit of this option, the benefit of the third option, and so on. Then as you look at the benefit as well, look at the risks that are associated with each solution or each option that you have. If I address this, for example, what are the impacts, the negative impacts that can arise? If I address the second option, what will be the negative or the challenges that will be there? So once you have analyzed or evaluated all those options through the lens of risks and benefits, then now it will become very clear which option you will select. So you will have to select one. And when you are selecting the best, you will have to select where benefits outweigh the costs. So you look at the one that has a lot of benefits and has very little challenges or risks associated to it. And that one will give you a very best solution. And then as you do so, you need to make sure that you involve your team members, you know, in the whole process. When you are solving a problem, when you are making decisions, involve the team members. It is always encouraged that you have an open discussion, try to brainstorm, you know, mukae pamoja, muangalie, kila mtu apeana ideas, venye mnaweza suluhisha jambo fulani. Hiyo itasaidia kupata suluhisho mzuri kabisa kuliko kama ni wewe peke yako, kwa sababu kila mtu ako na kipawa yenye alipewa yenye inaweza saidia ku provide solution. So ni vizuri uengage watu ambao unafanya kazi nao ndio upate ile suluhisho ambayo itakusaidia vizuri. Then ukimaliza hiyo, sasa umesha implement hiyo solution, umeselect hii ndio tutatumia ku address hii problem ambayo tuko nayo. Sasa utamonitor. Kumonitor inamaanisha utaangalia kama hiyo problem ilikuwa addressed vizuri ama ilikuwa addressed vizuri. Kama ilikuwa addressed vizuri, hiyo ni mzuri sana na utaendelea ku address problem kama hizo kwa njia hiyo hiyo. Lakini if the problem wasn't really addressed correctly, then you will have to review the option that you selected. It means that during the process of problem solving, there is somewhere you went wrong. It can either be the information you gathered was incorrect. It can either be the definition of the problem wasn't good. It can either be the evaluation of risk and benefit wasn't proper. So you need to make sure that you review the process so that you understand what went wrong. So I just want you to think of any challenges or various problems that you have faced within your organization, and how you have been able to address some of those challenges. And it will be very great to hear some of you talk about this. I don't know if any person has an experience on how they encountered a problem and how they were able to address that problem. It would be great to hear the experiences. So if any person can be able to share the experience, that would be nice. Feel free to tell us any problem that you have encountered within your small business or within your business, and how you are able to address or to cope with that challenge. Which approach did you use to address that challenge? No? So that will be great. I think I can just select any person who is willing to offer their experience. Is there any person you can raise up your hand? You have anything you want to share, maybe to provide an example of the challenging situation you encountered and how you were able to address that. Which approach did you use? It will be great to at least hear that. Well, if we don't have any experience, then I can proceed. So I want us now to look at embracing innovation and adaptability. We have already talked about adaptability. I've told you in the current competitive environment that we are in, for you to be ahead of others, then you have to be innovative. And this starts with the leaders. The leaders need to be innovative, they need to be adaptable, and it's very, very crucial, especially for small business leader who would want to thrive in the competitive environment. So try to be open to new ideas as leader, because when you're open to new ideas, that is how you can be innovative. Try to read materials, try to attend conferences, try to even watch news, and that will not try to make you knowledgeable and create those innovative ideas within you, and that will help you to be very competitive. So I want us to look at various strategies that you can apply so that you remain competitive with regards to embracing innovation and adaptability. So here are just some small, here some few ways. So the first one is you need to create a culture of innovation. So creating a culture of innovation is the way you do things, within your organization. Kindly, if you are unmute, you can mute yourself. You can mute yourself, kindly. So create a culture of innovation within the organization of the business that you're operating. Encourage this culture of innovativeness. Let people share their innovative ideas. Let it be a norm that when I'm there, I can be able to share my innovative ideas. And the best way to do this is always to reward those team members who are coming up with new ideas and sharing them with you and other team members. Then another way in which you can be able to showcase innovativeness and adaptability is to demonstrate the willingness to lead by example. So try to be an example to others. Try to accept their things, try to accept their new concepts that they have shared with you. So when you lead by example, even others will start embracing those innovative ideas that are being shared by others. Another one is you need to foster continuous learning. So as a leader, encourage your members to continue learning. If someone has come to you and they have told you, I would like to enroll to this course, encourage them to do so, because when they learn, they gain knowledge, they gain some skills, and those skills will be important to your organization because they are working for you. So try to encourage that professional development in terms of learning. Allow them to go for training, allow them to go for skill development workshops, and so on. Allow them to read materials, allow them to be able to have a mentorship session, and so on. Then be customer-centric as well. Customers are also very, very important people. Excuse me. Through what they share, you can be able to pick some innovative ideas from them. Because at the end of the day, when you are operating your business, you would want to provide services or products that align to the customer's needs or expectations. So you have to be keen on what they are saying or how they would want services to be provided. And majority of customers right now are so much exposed. So when they come to you, they might share to you something which is considered innovative, and you can be able to use it to implement it within the organization and embrace that innovativeness and adaptability. Then also, besides that, we also have experiment and test. So try to test new ideas. So you need to be a risk taker. You have gotten this idea, try to test it. Don't just throw it away. No, test it, experiment it. If it works, then adapt it. If it doesn't work, then you can leave it. But you cannot leave something that you haven't tested or experimented. It's better, first of all, to test and see whether it is working. Then try to collaborate with people, sometimes collaborating, especially with other experts, you know, or maybe other stakeholders will also help you, because through collaboration, people share ideas or exchange ideas and so on. So that will help in knowledge exchange, which will help you to be able to be innovative. Also embrace technology. Technology is very, very important, especially when you want to remain innovative and have a competitive edge. So invest in various softwares or tools that can be able to streamline your operation. So try to incorporate technology within your organization. Don't do things in a traditional way. For example, if it's payment, try to encourage people to pay in a certain way using the devices like M-Pesa or maybe M-Banking and so on. Don't be the one who only accepts cash. You know? Right now, people want to pay even at the comfort of their home and so on. So encourage such kind of things. The technological advancement, try to incorporate it within your service delivery. Then also encourage cross-functional teams. So this is where you create an environment where team players come together with various skill sets, and then they are able to drive innovativeness through coming together and undertaking the task together. So when you put people together, they have various talents. So you are bringing all those talents together, and it becomes easier for you to get different perspectives, different ideas, and to achieve the goals effectively. Then another important way that you can embrace innovativeness or be adaptable is to stay informed about the industry trends. So you have to do research, or you have to read about the industry trends. If you are dealing with customer, you try to understand what the current customer wants, try to look at how they would want services to be delivered and so on. So that will help you to provide services or to align your products to the trends that are there, rather than just doing things without not being informed at all. So you find that with the lack of information, you're doing things but not productively, because you're not doing those things informed by what is happening outside. So try to leverage on that. You can look at blogs, you can use the internet to read about the industry trends. You can look at the news, what is happening, within the industry. For example, if it is in terms of service delivery, people yesterday were talking about you doing videos and then sharing those videos to people. You don't necessarily need to take them there, to see. You can share with them wherever they are and so on. So try to look at the industry trends and provide services informed by those trends. Then accept and learn from failures. It is always good to take failures as a learning opportunity. Don't be discouraged by failures. And like we said, challenges will always be there within your businesses, but how you cope with those challenges is the most important thing. So let those challenges or failures be a learning point for you. Use them as a learning or as a foundation to be able to do better and achieve higher growth. So you learn from a mistake and then you achieve the desired growth that you require to achieve. And then another one is you need to reward and recognize innovators. We have talked about this. I've told you that you might be having some team players who are willingly willing to always share their ideas with the members, innovative ideas. Always reward these people. It will boost their morale and motivations to continue providing some of those innovative ideas. Another one is empower your employees to be innovative. So it's also good to empower your employees to be innovative. We have talked about creating that autonomy, and encourage them to be able to make decisions by themselves, give them freedom to be able to share their ideas and so on. So empowerment is giving them the power to be able to share their ideas, create platforms where they can be able to share their ideas, and then try to, besides just taking their ideas, try to implement some of the ideas that they have shared with you, because there will be a lot of satisfaction from them when they see that the ideas that they shared have been implemented within the organization. So be open to ideas and also implement some of those ideas. Then another one is monitor competitors and market changes. So another way you can also be innovative, like we have said earlier, that there is always competition when it comes to the environment we are operating in. So one way in which you can be innovative is you can do a competitive analysis. You look at your competitor. So try to understand the strengths of your competitor, try to understand their weaknesses. So based on that, you can come up with innovative strategies on how you can beat them and have a competitive edge. So you your innovative ideas are informed by their strengths as well as their weaknesses that they have. So that can also be a learning point for you when it comes to that. You can also observe the market changes. So you need to look at the competitive threats. You need to look at ways in which you can be able to adapt to those market threats and then be ahead of others. Then another important thing, I think I've covered that. I want us now to look at another aspect, which is also important, leading with integrity and ethics. So as a leader, you need to lead, yes, but again, you need to be someone who is leading ethically, you know. You need to be someone who is doing things in the correct manner, the manner that is considered right. So integrity and ethics are very crucial, especially when it comes to building the trust, also fostering the positive culture, work culture within the organization, as well as also ensuring long-term success. So you need to demonstrate work ethics as a leader, and this should be shown through your behavior. Some good leaders are always judged on this. You know, like when we talk about moral standards of a leader, we tend to really look at how good they are in terms of integrity, how good they are in terms of the ethical things that we have. So you need to try and look at yourself and see whether you are upholding the moral standards. So you don't just inspire your team by communicating and so on. You also inspire them and even gain respect by upholding the moral standards that we have. And these are things to do with honesty, things to do with the way you communicate, the way you carry yourself within the organization, and so on. I want us to just look at some of the principles that are required so that you can be able to lead with integrity. So one of the way you can lead with integrity and also demonstrate work ethics is by leading by example. So demonstrate this through your behavior. And I've given example, for example, coming to work early, have good characters, your actions, the choices you make, and these will now make you to be a role model to your team. And you will set standards for them that they can be able to follow. Then another important thing is that try to establish clear values and principles. So you need, as a small business, you also need to have what we call core values. Even if they haven't been communicated anywhere, but within your organization, you need to have them alongside your objectives so that these core values are communicated to the employees. Immediately someone joins your organization or your establishment, they need to be aware of the values that you uphold or the ethical principles that you uphold or that are required of them. So these will make them to behave in a certain manner or to develop a certain culture while within the enterprises. And then also try to make ethical decisions. We have talked about you as a leader being someone who can make decisions. So make sure that the decisions that you make are ethical. Don't come up with things that are not considered right. So try to look at your decision in terms of the impact that it will have, either to the society, to the people that you're working with, or even to the organization that you are working on. So that is very, very important. Also make decisions, ethical decision, keeping customers in mind. So don't come up with a decision and then it is going to affect the customer who is going to consume the product. So you have to look at the stakeholders involved and try to look at their interest. Are their interests taken care of, or will someone complain that, for example, you are not fair, you know? So try to look at that. You know, you might make a decision that is favorable to male and then not favorable to female, or favorable to female and not favorable to male. So try to make sure that you consider that when making decisions. Then also you demonstrate work ethics as well as integrity through communicating openly and honestly. So we have talked about this, the issue of honesty and providing accurate information, even when the situation is challenging. And one of the participants told us that the problem might, for example, be you want to lower the pay for the employees. And you see now the situation isn't that good, and you need to communicate. That, you know, communicate to them openly and in a honest manner that things are not right, and then go ahead and make them understand that. So it is always important that you communicate openly and honestly, especially when issues arise. Then another one is protect confidential information. Yeah, it's very, very good. This was discussed yesterday, that as a leader, when you are communicating, especially externally, make sure that you don't provide people's information without their consent. So try to make sure that you protect some confidential information. Some data or some information are always sensitive. Things to do with, for example, people's age, where they live, blah blah. So ni vizuri kuwa some information uhakikishe kuwa umeikanyagia chini, usikuwe tu unapeana kila kitu. Na hiyo information ya employees ukipeana kwa kila mtu ama information ya customers inakuwa vibaya sana. Then also comply with laws and regulation. So any business that is operating is required to comply with laws. For example, make sure that you pay tax, no? Don't evade tax payment, you know? So make sure you pay tax. Make sure that usikuwe kila siku unakimbizana na watu wa kanjo, ama wakikuja unafunga biashara, wakienda ufungue, you know? You need to comply. And that also demonstrates that you are a person of integrity and you value work ethics. Another one is, the next one is take responsibility for the mistakes. So it is always good to also take the responsibility. We are not always perfect people. So at some point as a leader, you will make mistake. So on the mistake, you can even go ahead and apologize, but you all need to take responsibility and try to see ways in which you can address the problems in a very honest manner and accountable. And that will make you to be an accountable leader. People will feel like this person is always accountable. So take the mistake. Don't be as someone who is always blame games, and so on. So it's good to also own the mistake. Then avoid conflict of interest. So it's also good to sometimes compromise. Don't put yourself first, you know, or your interest always at the forefront. So sometimes be willing to compromise, especially for the interest of the organization, you know, everything should be for the interest of the organization. It should not be always about you. So sometimes there should be avoidance of the conflict of interest. Then seek feedback and input, very important, especially from the people you are working with. We have talked about you giving the team members an opportunity to be able to express their ideas, to express their insights so that things can be improved within the organization, and not just employees, even customers. As a leader, you need to make sure that you develop some surveys or some interviews for the customer so that they can also provide feedback. Remember, we said that that feedback can also help you to be able to embrace innovativeness and adaptability within your enterprise. So you have to also seek feedback and input from the customers, even online. Another one, encourage a speak-up culture. We have talked about that for quite some time. So allow the employees to feel comfortable to voice their concern, especially the ethical concerns. That will make them even motivated to be able to work within the organization, because they will always feel like whenever we have a problem, we can always voice our problem and they will be addressed or they will be heard. Then continuously improve ethical practices. So there are ethical practices that are in place within your enterprises, but you don't need to always keep on doing the same things. You can always improve on those ethical practices. So when it comes to ethics, especially within the context of small tourism business, also try to think about things to do with how you can be a sustainable enterprises, things to do with littering, things to do with using plastic and so on. So try to look at how you can improve your ethical practices, and you can be informed by the sustainable practices that are required of your business. And of course, those goes a long way in helping us within the environments that we live in. I want us now to proceed and now look at motivation and recognition of employees. This is also something that we have been discussing, but it is important if we delve into it a bit deeper so that we can understand ways in which you can do it. So remember, we have been talking about you as a leader inspiring others, and when we talk about you inspiring the team members or others, we basically talk about you motivating them. So you have to motivate the employees so that they can be able to perform better. I've just looked at my time. I want to wrap it up so quickly. So you need to make sure that you provide clear goals, offer opportunities for growth, recognize and celebrate the achievement. It's very important. Try to provide some constructive feedback. We have talked about this. Empower the employees to make decisions, foster a positive work environment. We have talked about this. Offer performance-based incentives. If someone has performed so well, you can offer a gift. You can offer maybe a certain package to them to motivate them. Promote work-life balance, encourage such kind of things. Nobody is just working every time, but at least they also have some time off, things like leaves and so on. So provide employee benefits, listen and act to employee feedback. We have talked about that quite some time. Lead by example, become a role model to your employees. It will motivate them. Encourage peer recognition, let the employees also recognize others. Then support work-life achievement. So majority of those things we have covered them, and that is why I was going so quickly. Lastly, I want us now to look at continuous learning and personal development. So continuous learning is important, and I guess that is why you are all here. You want to be able to continuously develop your leadership skills. So how do you do this? You can pursue relevant training and courses. You can, enroll for any course or maybe attend training so that you can be able to develop or to nurture your skills. You can also read books. One way of also learn something is to read books and industry publication. Seek mentorship. You can try to engage a leader who you are looking up to, communicate to them, ask them if they can mentor you. Attend networking events. There is a lot of knowledge sharing in such kind of events, and you will be able to learn a lot. Set some personal development goals and then try to track whether you have achieved them. Encourage learning in your team. We have talked about this. You also need to take a new challenge. A new challenge should be a learning opportunity for you. We have also talked about that. You can as well learn from the failures and success. I talked about that. Then also look at online, look at online learning platform. Look at online learning platform. Those are also very, very important. And we have some free learning courses on leadership. So you can take advantage of that. Then schedule your time for learning. So try to allocate time for learning. It can be early in the morning when you wake up, you learn something and then you proceed to work and so on. Then join professional association. It's also good to join professional association. And later on, at the end of the week, I will invite one of my colleagues to be able to talk to you on how you can be able to become our members so that you can continuously learn and develop yourself as well as your enterprise. So that marks the end of the presentation. Sorry, I've taken a bit of some time. But right now, I want us to move to the Q&A session so that you can ask your questions as well as seek clarifications on matters that you haven't understood well. So your questions are welcomed. Do we have a question? You can raise up your hand or you can type on the chat box. Yes, go ahead and ask. Let me see. Jonathan, kindly go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, my question would be is that a scenario where you are the team leader and you delegated a duty to one of your team members, and the member is fond of not maybe delivering the duty that you delegated to her or him. So in that case, in that scenario, how do you deal with such a team member? How do you deal with such a member who most of the time, or how do you deal with the team where when you delegate maybe a certain duty to them, they hardly deliver to your level of expectation? How do you deal with such things? Thank you.
Well, I'll talk about you avoiding the situation first, and then secondly, I will talk about the situation has happened, and now how do you try to deal with such kind of situation? So first of all, let's start with you trying to avoid the situation. So in my previous presentation, I talked about you trying to allocate tasks to people who are best suited to do those tasks. And you try to look at various things. You try to look at the knowledge they have in that field. You try to look at the experience they possess. You try to look at the experts they have, as well as even the ability in terms of even the passion, the ability they have in terms of commitment, and so on. So when you allocate tasks to people and you have kept all those things in mind, chances are that you will be able to allocate someone the responsibilities that they can effectively do. But if it happens that you have allocated someone responsibilities and, like you say, they have failed to deliver, then this will totally depend with the policy that you have in place as an enterprise. When you are communicating to them about the job they are required to do, you also have to communicate to them about the desired outcomes, as we had mentioned, and what will happen if they don't meet those objectives or the outcomes. And this one now will depend on the enterprise. But more importantly, try to look at a solution that is not just favorable to you, but even to that person. For instance, if you have realized that they haven't failed to perform, maybe the reason could be that maybe they lack training in that area. So can they be trained? You know, don't just fire them. Can you just train them and see what happens? So try to look at options that are there, but your options should be based on what is the problem that is hindering that person to achieve those tasks that you have delegated to them. So try to understand what is it that is making that person not to achieve those responsibilities. If it's laziness, then of course you can take those responsibility, and lay them off, But if it's something to do with lack of skills, then they need to be trained, If it's lack of supportive materials, then provide the supportive materials to them. So you have to try and identify the specific thing that is hindering those employees from achieving the goals with regards to the tasks that you have delegated to them. Then from there, your next decision will be based on the cost. And we have talked about that earlier, that when you are solving a problem, try to analyze the problem, gather information, try to understand what is the issue, and then make a decision based on the root cause of the problem. I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yes. Well,
so do we have any other question? Kindly raise up your hand, or you can ask within the chat. There is a question I'm seeing on the chat. Mike Zuki is asking, how do you know color fashion of year? I seem not to get what the question is all about. So maybe Mike Zuki, you can just ask. You can ask verbally. Well, if there is no any other question, yes, I can see a chat. How do you understand color fashion of the year? Kindly clarify this, just unmute yourself and then clarify, Mike.
My question was,
yes,
because I understood all the years have different colors of the year. There are colors which moves, let's say like 2024. There is colors which will be matching with the products we produce. The colors which will be used even in dresses. So there are colors of the year. I don't know how they identify them.
Well, I want to broaden it up a bit and talk about trends, like, so maybe let's assume it's something that has arisen, that you are required to do things this way. So what you do in that case, Mike, is that you adapt. Like we said, your enterprises should not be rigid. They need to be flexible. So let me assume you are providing services in your enterprise. And like you say, maybe the customer prefers certain color. Then it makes sense if you provide products of those colors, Or maybe if it's a certain test, you have realized that you're selling these kind of products and customers like when the products are delivered in a certain manner or they are packaged in a certain way. So what you do, having that information, you use that information to provide your service. So you provide service that aligns to what is within the market space or is preferred by the customers that you are targeting. So that is how I would look at it. That what you are required to do is you look at what is happening and then try to provide your products or services with regards to what is happening. So if you're saying that there is a certain color fashion of the year, so understand what is the color, then provide your products or services in alignment with that color of the year or the theme of the year. I hope I have answered your question, Mike.
Yeah. My question was because sometimes when we attend shows, you can find that customers who are coming to the show, there is a certain colors they are choosing. And maybe you have different colors. That's why I was talking about the colors.
Yes, now that is very correct. So what you need to do is you provide service that aligns to those colors that are required.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is also you can also, there is Joy is also saying you can also search online for the same. which is very correct. So you need to gather information, even online.
Thank you.
If there is no other question, allow me to end the meeting. Once again, thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed the session and you learned something new today. And I hope going forward, you will be able to incorporate some of the skills that we have learned today into your business. So good luck with your businesses with regards to leadership. We look forward again to having you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Maybe before you close,
Yes.
I'd like also to appreciate you for a very good presentation, especially on now the leadership and management, because we've learned a lot with matters to regards to, as leaders, we need to be proactive and also open to ideas. That is open discussion between us and also the employees of the organization. And also it's something that we need to set realistic targets and also goals. Yeah, so I think that's something that we need to take it home, and also prioritization of the duties, which are also very important to the both employees and also now the leaders of the organization. So I'd like just to emphasize on that, and thank you so much.
Yes, I think Jonathan has reminded me that we need to take a group photo. I know some people have left, but we can just do it quickly. So kindly put your cameras on. So that I will end sharing. Great. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan understands that ecotourism, we like photos. So some people are turning it on and then off. Feel free to turn it on. Then you can smile a bit. Okay, goodbye everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.